All right, so time to look at functions, right? Now, functions is not libraries, but there's a little bit of a similarity between a library and a function in the sense that a function is reusable code. So, libraries you can reuse all the time, and it's not written by you though, but it's something that you can just include in your code and from then on use it. Now, a function is really pieces of code, maybe a block of code that you know you're going to use very often. So if you have a block of code that you're going to use throughout the program, you can create a function of it, and from now on just put the function name on its own line and it will execute that block of code for you. Excuse me. It helps organize programs into sections that can be called as needed. Now, the first function I want to show you is in your Arduino IDE, and digital write is a function. It's not a function that you created yourself, though, but this is one of the things that made the Arduino IDE so popular. The Arduino guys wrote a lot of functions to help you to program easier and faster without knowing all the details behind the scenes. For example, if you call digital write or you type digital write, you give it the pin and you say what it should do, the pin will, or digital write will make an LED go on, as an example. It's called a built-in function because it's part of the Arduino IDE. Behind the scenes, of course, there's a lot of additional code to get that LED to have the 3.3 volts on the pin. Okay, so but this is really the anatomy of how you call a function. You simply put its name down, and in brackets, if the function, not all functions have parameters, but digital write do have two parameters. The first is it want to know what the pin is, and then secondly, should it put volts on the pin or should it not put volts on the pin? So a function is the function name, and if there's parameters, the parameters for that function. So I want to go back just to the lesson itself, and I want to show you how you can create a function. So for instance, let's say you're creating a warning of by using an LED, maybe a red LED that will flash fast when something happens, like the temperature goes too high. All right, and now instead of having to say all over your code, let the LED go on and off when something happens. LED is a nice visual way without having the microcontroller connected to your computer. You can look at it and you can see, oh, there it flashes. So it's visual indication. You can also have a buzzer that buzz, maybe for audio notification of things. So I'm just going to take this code, I'll copy it, and then I'm going to paste it in our loop. Right, so there I've created a function. I'm going to take it down a little bit. That is very much the same as the code that we've written here previously, right? So I can just as well have taken this code and pasted in here like this, all right? And every time I'm going to type out the word Blinklet, like that, blink, blink, blink. Before I forget, all right, and you're going to forget it probably all the time. I'm programming microcontrollers for some time. I always forget to put the semicolon in there at the end because that really tells your Arduino IDE you have typed in a command and you're going to now move on to the next command. But all I have to do is to say blink LED, which will then execute this for you. But let's just run it and see if there's errors in case I missed something. Oh, all right, so there I see it. It complains on line 12, a function defined is not allowed here before this token on line 12. Why can that be? Well, think of it for a second, right? If you are going to put this in your code, it will run all the time in the loop. You want to take it outside the loop and put it totally way above, not inside setup and also not even inside the loop, right? And if we run it now, you'll see that it is happy, except if I made some other mistakes. It's happy. So functions you put where you'll put your libraries outside the loops, which is also very nice. I mean, from now on, remember I said that you can make 2 comments, 2 forward slashes, and I can say, let's say, danger blink. All right, so I'll know now. I can put, of course, a longer line in there, but I say, oh, okay, so this specific function is when there's a danger, it can blink. You can go further and maybe take your microcontroller's got 5 LEDs. You can make it go run up and down 3 or 4 times, to really show on the board that there's some danger, maybe too high temperature or something like that. But from now on, all you have to do is type the function name on its own, and it will do whatever is inside this curly brackets. So a LED, blink LED, in curly brackets, will have code, and that code will be executed when you say blink LED. Now, let's go back to our lesson and go down a little bit. I want to see if there's more. Calls the functions, and it explains how to use a function. Of course, you can put many things in this curly brackets if you like. not just 4 commands. It can be a huge piece of code, maybe that verifies credit card numbers. Credit card numbers start with a specific numbers in front to say if it's a Visa card, and it can do checks like that. Maybe an email check to see if the email format is correct. You know, is there @ sign in there? Things like that. So you can make it quite big. You can even go and save your functions so you can use it again later if you so wish. You can simply create a document and put all your functions in there, and then just copy paste them over when you start a new program. With AI, that becomes sort of obsolete, because AI will automatically create functions for you. But once you see these functions, you will now know what that specific code is. You see a name with curly brackets, you know it's a function. That's about it for this lesson. Upload the code, make changes to your functions, and see what happens. But yes, it's so much easier than just typing a function name, than having to copy paste all this code over and over, not just making your code much more complex, because I mean, this alone is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 lines of code that now can become 1 line of code. Right. So that is it for this lesson. This is functions. Like I said, this can be of interest. If you go to help, right, and you go to references, find in reference, or just references really, it will show you all the different built-in functions. For instance, digital write, which is a built-in function. Delay is a built-in function, because all you have to say is delay and 1,000 milliseconds, but behind the scenes there's 10 or 20 lines of code to make this delay really happening. But all you have to do is type in the function name. So go through all those functions in the reference, just for interest's sake. For another function, of course, is pin mode, to say is, you give it the pin number and you say, is it the input or an output? And there's many, many more of them. We will handle them as we go along, most of them. But for now, that's it. Please play around, fiddle around. You can't break anything. I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.